The crash. The night was quiet. No wind, no sound. Only the soft rustle of trees under the silver moonlight. Deep in the forest, everything seemed normal. Until the sky broke. A bright light tore through the clouds. Like a burning star falling fast, it flashed red, then white, then disappeared behind the hills with a thunderous boom. Birds flew out in panic. The ground shook. Somewhere far, something had crashed. Not far from the forest, a man named Jake sat on the porch of his small wooden cabin. He was drinking tea alone as always. Ex-soldier, mid-30s, quiet, tired of the world. He didn't smile much. The war had taken that from him. He heard the sound, the crash. His eyes narrowed. It wasn't thunder, and it wasn't a plane. He grabbed his flashlight and rifle, then started walking toward the sound. The deeper he went into the forest, the darker it became. Trees blocked the moonlight. The smell of burnt metal grew stronger. Soon, he saw smoke. Black, thick, rising between the trees. Jake slowed down. He saw something strange lying across the forest floor. A large metallic pod, half buried in the dirt. Not from this world. His finger stayed on the trigger. His soldier instincts told him, danger. The pod had alien symbols glowing in blue. A door on the side had broken open. Sparks flew from the wires. Something was inside. He stepped closer, and then he heard it. A soft sound. Like breathing. Slow. Painful. He pointed his flashlight inside. His breath caught. There, lying inside, was a girl. Not human. Her skin was pale silver, like metal and moonlight mixed together. She had 4 fingers, long limbs, and white hair like silk. Her eyes were closed. She looked hurt. Her legs twisted at an odd angle. He knelt beside her, heart racing. "Hello?" he whispered. No response. Then her eyes slowly opened, glowing violet. She looked at him with fear, tried to move, failed. Her mouth opened. She spoke in a soft, strange voice, broken English. "Help me." Jake hesitated. Everything in him screamed to walk away, but something deeper. The soldier, the human. He couldn't ignore a dying being. He lifted her carefully. She was cold and light. Her body trembled. She didn't resist. He brought her back to the cabin, wrapped her in blankets, and cleaned her wounds. Strange blue blood had dried around her waist. Her legs didn't move at all. He tried asking questions, but she didn't speak again. She just stared at the ceiling, breathing slowly. Jake sat beside her. "Who are you?" he whispered. "What happened to you?" No answer. As the night passed, she finally moved her hand and pointed at his notepad. He gave her a pen. She drew a circle, with strange symbols around it. Then she pointed at herself, then crossed her legs out. Jake understood. She couldn't walk. She was paralyzed. He stared at her, unsure what to say. She looked at him again. Her eyes were full of pain, but also trust. Jake looked away, confused, overwhelmed. What had fallen from the sky? Before he could think more, he heard something outside. He walked to the window and froze. In the sky, far above the trees, small red lights blinked. Aircraft. Military drones. His heart sank. Someone else knew about the crash. And they were coming. He walked back to the alien girl. She was watching him. He spoke softly. "Don't worry, I'll protect you." And for the first time, she closed her eyes and slept. She Can't Walk morning arrived quietly. The sun touched the forest with golden light, but inside the cabin it was still cold and silent. Jake had barely slept. His mind kept turning. An alien. In his bed. Real. Breathing. And broken. She was still asleep, wrapped in blankets, her chest rising and falling. Jake sat in the corner watching her. The silver skin on her face shimmered softly in the sunlight. Not metal, not human. Something in between. He whispered to himself, "What the hell are you?" As if she heard him, her eyes opened. Violet, glowing. She looked around, then tried to sit up. Her arms worked, but when she tried to move her legs, nothing. Her body jerked, but her legs didn't follow. She tried again, harder, but still nothing. Panic crossed her face. She clenched her teeth and groaned in frustration. Jake moved closer. "Easy," he said gently. "You're safe." Her eyes darted toward him. She looked angry. She grabbed the pen and notepad from the table. Her hand moved fast. She drew a simple figure, a body with 2 legs crossed out. Then she wrote one word underneath, "Why?" Jake shook his head. "I don't know. Maybe the crash?" Her jaw tightened. She dropped the pen and closed her eyes. A single tear rolled down her cheek, not water, but something like silver. He watched, unsure what to do. Then slowly he sat beside her. "Look," he said, "I'm not a doctor. I'm not even smart. I just fix things. But I'll try to help, okay?" She looked at him. No words. Just silence. He stood up and pointed to himself. "Jake," he said. She blinked, then pointed to herself. "Zira," she said slowly. Her voice was soft, almost broken. "Zira," he repeated. "Okay. Zira. We'll figure this out." That day, he made a plan. He cleared space in the cabin, brought old medical books, searched the internet, started building a simple leg brace using scrap metal, wires, and motors from his old workshop. But his internet was acting strange. Pages loaded slow. Sometimes they wouldn't open at all. Then he noticed something strange. His laptop started, flashing. Blue code ran across the screen, strange symbols. Not English, not any language he knew. Then the screen went black. A second later, a message appeared. "We are watching. Return the subject." He stared at it, stunned. Then the screen turned off by itself. His blood ran cold. He looked at Zira. She was watching him quietly, as if she already knew. "Who's after you?" he asked. Zira didn't answer, but her hands moved again. She drew a strange symbol, a circle with a star inside it surrounded by flames. He stared at it. He recognized it. He had seen this symbol once, years ago when he was still a soldier. It belonged to a classified government project, Black Star. A project so secret even he wasn't allowed to ask about it. "You were part of Black Star?" he whispered. Zira's hands shook. She wrote, "Escaped." He suddenly understood. She didn't just fall from the sky. She ran. Someone built her. And now they wanted her back. That night Zira tried to move again. Jake watched as she pulled herself from the bed. She gritted her teeth, dragging her body with her arms, inch by inch across the wooden floor. Then she tried to stand. She used the chair for support. Her arms trembled. She managed to pull herself halfway up, her legs hung loose. Useless. She fell hard. Jake rushed to her. "Stop, you'll hurt yourself." But she pushed him away. She wasn't angry at him. She was angry at herself. Zira looked at her legs. She clenched her fists and screamed, not loud, not violent, but like a voice lost in the void. Jake sat down beside her. "You're not weak," he said. "You survived a crash. You escaped something powerful, and now you're here." Zira looked away. He added, "You're not alone now." She looked back. Her expression softened. Then she pointed at the braces he was building. Jake nodded. "They're not ready, but soon." She gave a small nod. Hours later, Jake stepped outside for firewood. As he chopped the first log, he heard a sharp clicking sound. He froze, looked up. In the trees above, a black drone hovered silently, not human-made, no markings, no sound, just watching. He dropped the axe, ran back inside, locked the door. "Zira," he whispered, "they found you." The past of Zira. The rain came without warning. Thick drops hit the roof of the cabin like bullets. Thunder rolled over the forest, but inside, it was quiet. Too quiet. Zira sat near the window, staring at the gray sky. Jake stood behind her, holding the broken drone he shot down 2 hours ago. The pieces lay on the table. Black metal, smooth, silent. Not military, not Earth-made. It wasn't just watching, Jake said. It was scanning, recording, and it sent a signal before I took it down. Zira didn't respond. Her eyes were distant, somewhere else. He walked over, placed the drone parts beside her. "Who are they?" he asked. "Who's chasing you?" For a long moment, Zira didn't move. Then she touched her chest. Her fingers glowed faint blue. Jake stepped back as a strange light pulsed from her skin. It formed into a circle of floating images, like a memory, a hologram. Jake stared, stunned, and then he saw her past. Years ago, far beyond Earth, a dark planet full of dust and steel. No trees, no sky, only towers and machines. This was Zira's homeworld. A voice echoed through the memory. Deep. Cold. Subject 07, report to the control dome. A younger Zira walked forward. Taller, straighter, no fear in her eyes. Soldiers stood beside her. Machines scanned her body. Designed for combat, the voice continued. Speed, strength, regeneration. The perfect weapon. They showed. Her tests. Brutal ones. She fought robotic enemies. She won. They clapped, but she never smiled. Then came the mission. They sent her to a human colony on another planet. Not to talk, not to learn, but to destroy. But when Zira arrived, something happened. She saw children. Scared. Hiding. She saw a mother holding her baby. Crying. She froze. She couldn't do it. She dropped her weapon. Subject 07, the voice yelled. Complete the mission, she said one word. No. And they turned against her. They shot her, betrayed her. But she escaped. The memory faded. Zira sat silently. Jake looked at her, eyes wide. You were created as a weapon, he said. She nodded slowly. And you chose not to kill. Another nod. That's why they're after you. Zira pointed to the drone, then at the sky. They won't stop, she whispered. They're coming. Jake rubbed his face. It was all too much. Alien wars, secret missions, now a galactic assassin in his cabin. But she wasn't a killer, not anymore. She saved lives, and now, she couldn't even stand. You still have a choice, he said. You can fight again, not with guns but by living. Zira looked down at her legs. Quiet. Then she turned toward the corner of the room where Jake's homemade braces lay half-finished. She touched the metal and nodded. Next day, Jake began working fast. He used old motors from his shed, metal from his truck, even parts from an old exosuit he once wore in war. Piece by piece, the legs began to take shape. Zira helped however she could. She was smart. She understood circuits faster than Jake did. Sometimes she showed him shortcuts, drawing alien tech on paper to improve the design. They were building something new. Together. 3 nights later, the storm had passed. The forest was calm again. Jake stood beside Zira as she wore the braces for the first time. Straps hugged her thighs. Wires connected to her back. Tiny lights blinked along her legs. He adjusted the power levels. Okay, try now. Zira took a breath and tried to stand. Nothing happened. She gritted her teeth, tried harder. A motor whined, her leg twitched. Then, slowly, it lifted. She cried out, more in shock than pain. Her body wobbled, but Jake caught her. You did it, he whispered. You moved. Zira looked down. Her foot touched the ground. She smiled, just barely. But it was real. But outside, Danger was close. In the forest, miles away, something landed. A black ship. No sound. No lights. Its door opened, and 6 tall figures stepped out. Silver armor. Red eyes. Carrying weapons that hummed like thunder. One of them knelt, touched the earth. Her trail is fresh, it said. The traitor is near. They vanished into the shadows. Back at the cabin, Zira and Jake sat by the fire. She stared at the flames. I don't want to run anymore, she said. Then don't, Jake replied. We make a stand. They will kill you. They can. Try. She looked at him. Truly looked. No human had ever protected her before. No one had cared if she walked or not. But Jake did, and she wouldn't let that go to waste. She tightened her hands. Tomorrow, she would walk again, not just for herself, but for him. First steps. The morning was colder than usual. The forest around the cabin was too quiet, as if nature itself was holding its breath. Birds didn't sing. The wind didn't move. Inside, Jake tightened the last strap on Zira's mechanical leg braces. The lights on the braces blinked green. Zira took a deep breath. Ready? Jake asked. She looked at him and gave a small nod. Then she reached for the chair and pulled herself up. Her arms shook. The motors in the braces made a soft humming sound. She shifted her weight. Her foot moved. Then the other, a slow, shaky step. Jake didn't move. He barely breathed. Zira gritted her teeth and took another step, and another. Every movement felt like fire in her spine. But she didn't stop. By the time she reached the other side of the room, her whole body trembled. Sweat dripped from her forehead. Then she turned around and smiled. Jake clapped once, then stopped himself. You just walked, he said, half in shock. Zira, you did it. Zira fell into the chair, breathing hard, but her eyes were bright. First steps, she whispered. First of many, Jake replied. But outside the forest, someone was watching. A man in a black coat stood behind the trees, holding a tablet. His eyes were locked on a small live feed. A video coming straight from a hidden camera he had planted days ago. It showed Zira walking. He tapped his earpiece. This is Agent Rowe, he said. She's active. Repeat, the subject is mobile. Sending coordinates now. From the other side, a cold voice replied, Unit Alpha en route. Capture alive. Terminate the human if necessary. Agent Rowe smiled. Understood. Back at the cabin, Jake sat across from Zira at the wooden table. Maps spread out between them. She pointed to a location in the mountains. This is where I landed first, she said. Before they shot me down. My ship is still there. Damaged. But if we reach it, we can send a signal. To who? Jake asked. To someone who can. Help us. Alien help? She paused. Maybe, or maybe just someone who still believes in peace. Jake nodded. Then we go. We leave tonight. But as he stood, the lights flickered. Then the power went out. He froze. Zira stood slowly, already sensing something was wrong. Outside, the sound of leaves crunching echoed through the forest. Not one person. Many. Jake moved to the window and peeked out. Figures in black armor. Rifles. Helmets. Red visors glowing. They were surrounded. Inside the cabin, chaos began. Get down, Jake yelled. He grabbed his old military rifle and loaded it fast. Zira backed into the corner, searching for anything useful. But she couldn't run. Not yet. Her body wasn't ready. How did they find us? Jake shouted. Zira's eyes widened. She pointed to the table. The drone pieces from earlier, they were still active. Tiny blinking light on one circuit board. It was a tracker. Jake cursed. They played me. They never stopped watching. The cabin exploded. A flash grenade shattered the window. Smoke filled the room. Jake grabbed Zira and pulled her behind the couch as bullets tore through the walls. They crawled toward the trapdoor under the floor, an old escape tunnel Jake had built years ago. But before they reached it, the front door burst open. Agent Rowe stepped in, tall, calm, and smiling. You've been busy, Jake, he said. Jake raised his rifle. Get out. You're protecting a weapon, Ro replied. Do you even know what she is? Yeah, Jake said. Someone who made a better choice than you. Ro's smile faded. He raised his hand. Take them. Soldiers rushed in. Jake fired. 3 shots. 2 men down. He threw a smoke bomb and tackled Zira through the trapdoor. They slid down into darkness. Beneath the forest, the tunnel was damp and cold. Jake pulled Zira along, her legs struggling to keep up. Her braces sparked once but held. Above them, footsteps. Voices. They were being followed. Almost there, Jake said. Just keep moving. Behind them, a blast shook the tunnel. They had minutes. They reached the exit, an old metal hatch hidden behind a tree root. Jake pushed it open. Light, freedom. But just as they climbed out, a figure stood above them. Agent. Ro. Gun pointed. End of the road, he said. Zira stepped forward. Not yet. Her hand glowed. Energy burst from her palm, blasting Ro back into a tree. Jake grabbed her hand. How did you... They built me to fight, she said. I'm done running. They ran into the forest, vanishing into the trees. Later, on a hilltop, they rested beneath a rock shelter overlooking the valley. Zira's legs were damaged again. One brace sparked. Jake removed it and began fixing it. You saved me back there, he said. We saved each other, she replied. The stars began to appear in the sky. Zira looked up. They won't stop coming. Jake nodded. Then we make them regret it. Zira smiled faintly. Tomorrow, we fight back. Escape plant, the wind had changed. Zira could feel it in the trees, in the air. Something was coming. Something worse than the soldiers. Worse than Agent Ro. Something not human. On a lonely mountaintop, Zira and Jake sat under a metal canopy, built from old drone panels and parts from her broken braces. They had been hiding for 3 days, moving only at night, living on energy bars and river water. Her right leg brace was broken beyond repair. Her hands were bruised from crawling. And yet, she didn't stop. Jake was working again. Wires, batteries, scraps of alien tech Zira had recovered from the crash site. He was building something new, something better. We're not escaping, he said. We're surviving. Difference is, now we fight back. Zira didn't answer. She stared at the sky. A small dot moved in the stars, a black ship in low orbit, her people, or what was left of them. They're scanning for me, she said, searching for my biosignal. Can we block it? Jake asked. Not block, she replied, but maybe confuse. The plan was risky, maybe stupid, but it was the only shot. They would build a decoy signal, a fake version of Zira's DNA pattern, using her broken neural core. Plant it in an abandoned city a few miles away. Let the enemy think she was there. Then they'd climb higher into the mountains, to a place she remembered. The impact site. Her original escape pod was still buried under ice. Inside it was the only thing that could help them now. A signal beacon, ancient alien tech, locked and shielded. If she could activate it, someone might hear it. Someone who still believed in her. Building the decoy wasn't easy. Jake rewired parts of her original braces into a portable transmitter. Zira fed in biodata using her neural patterns. It drained her. Badly. Her nose bled. Her vision blurred. But she didn't stop. Rest, Jake said, placing a blanket over her shoulders. No time, she replied. You'll die before we get out of here, then let me die fighting. Jake slammed his fist on the table. I'm not losing anyone else. Zira froze. He stepped back, eyes lowered, voice softer. I lost my brother in the war. I watched him bleed out because I followed. Orders, never again. Zira looked at him for a long time, then said, We're not so different. Midnight came. The signal trap was ready. They made their way down the valley through a ruined town, cracked buildings, rusted cars, silence. A ghost city, abandoned after a chemical leak years ago. Perfect place to hide a lie. They planted the decoy in the basement of an old hospital. Jake set the timer. It would go active in 1 hour. By then they had to be gone. What if they don't fall for it? He asked. They will, Zira said. They want me too badly. But what Zira didn't know was that betrayal was near. Someone had been watching. From a distance, a figure held a scope, scanning every move. It wasn't Roe. It wasn't the soldiers. This man wore no armor, no uniform, just a black suit, red gloves, and a cold face. His name was Director Kale, head of the Black Star Initiative, the man who ordered Zira's creation. He tapped a device on his wrist. Let them run, he said. Let her signal the stars. It won't save her. From behind him, a massive machine powered up, half alien, half Earth tech, tall as a house, glowing blue engine core. The prototype is ready, said a voice over comms. Good, Kale replied. We deploy at dawn. Back in the mountains, Zira and Jake reached the ice valley just before sunrise. Wind howled across the cliffs. Snow blasted their faces. Here, she said, pointing to the frozen lake. Beneath the ice, something shimmered. They began digging with axes and heat rods. Hours passed. Jake's fingers bled. Zira's energy was fading fast. Then, a loud crack. The ice gave way. Beneath it, a silver pod emerged, still glowing faint blue. Zira fell too, her knees. My escape shell, she whispered. Jake pried open the hatch. Inside, the signal beacon, locked in a crystal case. She touched it with both hands, and it awakened, a soft hum, a heartbeat of light. Now what? Jake asked. Zira smiled faintly. Now, we call for help. Meanwhile, in the fake city, the decoy signal activated. Flashes of light shot into the sky. Minutes later, a shadow fell over the ruins. The black ship descended. Soldiers dropped. So did something else, a machine, massive. Alive. Kale's hybrid weapon. It roared once and then began tearing the city apart. But Zira wasn't there. And Kale knew it. This was just bait, he muttered. He smiled. She's smarter than I thought. He turned to the sky. Then we bring the war to the mountains. Back at the beacon, Zira finished the activation code. The beacon shot a beam into the sky. Clear, bright, alien in design, somewhere beyond the stars. Something would hear it. Someone would come. But the light also sent a second signal to Kale, to the hunters, to death. They know where we are now, Jake said, loading his rifle. Zira stood tall, her new brace shining. Good, she said. Let them come. The price of freedoms now fell gently over the mountain, but peace was an illusion. Under the frozen sky, Zira stood beside the alien beacon. It glowed like a beating heart, its pulse climbing higher, reaching farther into space. She had done it. She had called out across the stars. Somewhere out there, maybe. Someone had heard her. But closer, too close. Death was already coming. At the base of the mountain, Jake spotted movement through his scope. They're here, he muttered. Below, in the mist, black trucks rolled forward, soldiers, drones. A massive war machine stomped behind them, part alien, part human-built. It was the same hybrid prototype they saw in the ruined city. The mountain was no longer safe. They had hours. Maybe less. Zira turned to Jake. You should leave. He looked at her. I'm not going anywhere. You can still survive. Not without you. She hesitated. Her voice dropped. You've already given enough. Not until you're free, Jake said. They prepared fast. Jake set traps along the narrow paths leading up the cliffs. Mines, spike traps, old EMP grenades. Zira rewired the beacon, channeling its energy into a wide defense field. Her own body began to react. The signal had awakened something inside her. Strength she forgot she had, but it came at a cost. Her heart rate was too high. Her blood pressure dropping. Her core systems burning energy faster than her body could handle. She hid it from Jake. Dusk fell. Then came the sound. Distant, cold, metallic. The war machine had arrived. A beam of light shot through the trees, cutting a path across the valley. Anything it touched turned to ash. Zira and Jake took their positions. The final stand had begun. The first wave hit hard. Soldiers swarmed the cliff, climbing fast. Zira, now fully using her brace, met them at the front. She moved like lightning, fists glowing with alien power. She knocked one down, then another, her energy cracking the air. But for every soldier she dropped, two more came. Jake fired from above, taking out drones one by one. His old soldier instincts returned. Calm, focused, deadly. They were holding the line until the machine arrived. The hybrid weapon stepped into the open. 3 stories tall, glowing red eyes. Voice like thunder. Target locked, it said. It raised its arm, a cannon of pure plasma, and fired. Jake flew backward, hit hard. Zira screamed. She ran to him, shield up, took the second blast on her side. The shield cracked. Her shoulder burned. "Jake," she called, kneeling beside him. He coughed, bleeding. "I'm okay. Just a few broken ribs." She knew he was lying. Blood pooled fast under his jacket. His body shook. "You have to go," he said. "Get out while you still can." "I'm not leaving you. If you die here," he whispered, "everything we fought for dies too." She looked toward the beacon. It was pulsing fast now, the signal growing stronger but also unstable. If it overloaded, it would explode, a blast large enough to wipe out the entire mountain. She had 2 choices: run with Jake and escape the blast, or stay, overload the beacon manually, and stop the war machine for good. Tears filled her eyes. This wasn't just about walking anymore. This was about standing for something. She turned to Jake. "Thank you," she said softly. He shook his head. "Don't say goodbye." "I'm not," she whispered. "I'm saying, I believe in us." She kissed his forehead, then turned and ran toward the beacon. The final climb. Zira's body trembled, her systems overloaded. The brace began to spark, her vision blurred, but she reached the beacon. Hands shaking, she entered the final code. The countdown began. Seconds, the war machine saw her. "Threat detected," it said. "Terminate." It fired again. But this time, Zira didn't run. She held her arms wide and absorbed the blast. Her body glowed white-blue. Energy surged through her. She became the signal. Seconds. Down below, Jake pulled himself toward the edge, trying to stand. He saw her, surrounded in light, face calm. "No," he whispered. "Don't do this." 20 seconds, Director Kale, watching from his hovercraft above, saw what was happening. "No," he hissed. "Shut it down." But it was too late. Zira looked to the sky and smiled. "Seconds," she whispered. "Let them see who I really am." Beacon exploded. A blinding wave of energy spread in every direction. Not fire, not heat, but pure signal. Every drone fried. The hybrid machine collapsed. The mountain shook. And then, silence. Minutes later, Jake awoke. Snow fell again. He looked. Around, coughing, burned, broken, but alive. The mountain was empty. Zira was gone. Nothing remained of the beacon. Only a silver mark glowing faintly on the rock. He crawled to it. Touched it. His voice cracked. "Thank you." Far above Earth. In deep space. A ship received a signal, a voice alien but full of heart. "I am Zira. I chose peace, I chose life. And a human showed me how to walk again." Rise of Zira. The stars were quiet. For almost a week, Earth had held its breath. After the blast in the mountains, military satellites went dark, drones fell from the sky, and all signals near the beacon zone vanished. No one knew what happened. No bodies were found. No machines remained. Only scorched earth and silence. The government covered it up. Training accident, they said. But something had changed, and deep down, the world felt it. Jake survived, broken ribs, burn marks, scarred lungs. He never returned to the city. Instead, he lived near the forest where it all began. Quiet, like before. Alone, like before. But every night he looked to the stars, waiting, hoping, because he believed she wasn't gone. Not really. He was right. Light years away, far beyond the Orion Rift, a ship drifted in the void. Not large, not sleek. A rescue vessel, from a rebel world, one that had once fought against Zira's creators. Inside, in a glass chamber, floated a silver-skinned girl, unconscious, but alive. Energy pulsed softly around her, healing her, restoring her broken systems. Zira. Her body had been torn apart by the beacon's overload, but her core, the part they could never fully control, had survived. Because she was the signal, and the signal had reached them. Back on Earth, Jake stood on the edge of a hill overlooking the valley. He wore a long coat now, beard growing in, rifle slung over his shoulder. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was a symbol, a witness. The only human who had fought beside a being from another world. Not against her, but with her. People had started asking questions, secret interviews, hidden articles. Hidden stories about a girl of silver who stopped a weapon no human could. They called her a myth. He called her a friend. Then one night, the sky changed again. The return. A tear opened in the sky. Not a ship, not a missile, but a soft fold of light. Silent. Beautiful. Alive. Jake stared, heart racing. He reached for his rifle, then stopped himself. From the center of the light, she stepped out, not floating, not weak, walking. Zira. But not like before. She wore armor now, elegant, organic, glowing. Like starlight, no braces, no wires. She walked like a queen, like someone who had learned pain and turned it into strength. Jake couldn't speak. She smiled. You waited, she said. You came back. He whispered. I promised. The final message. Later that night, Zira stood before a hidden camera. Jake held the recorder steady. This wasn't for Earth's leaders. It wasn't for the military, it was for the people. Zira looked into the lens. I was made as a weapon, designed to obey, built to destroy. She paused. But one human chose to protect me. He taught me I didn't have to follow orders. I didn't have to be what they made me. Another pause. And now, I will protect others, not as a soldier, not as a machine, but as something they never expected. She looked to the stars. As hope, but the peace didn't last. 3 days later, Earth's sky lit up again. But this time, they didn't come for Zira. They came for Earth, an invasion fleet. Her creators, furious that she lived, furious that she sent a signal to the galaxy that one of their weapons had turned. They wanted to make an example. Burn the world she protected. Jake and Zira didn't run. They stood together at Earth's edge as ships blocked out the sky. Zira's armor lit up. Jake loaded his rifle. You ready? He asked. She smiled. Watch me. The final stand. As the first enemy ship broke through the clouds, something even brighter arrived behind it. Hundreds of them. Ships, not of war, but of resistance. The rebels Zira had called. Other species she had once saved. Others who believed in freedom, a galactic alliance forged by one girl who refused to kill. The battle lit up the sky. Lasers, shields, fire and lightning. But this time, humanity was not alone, and at the center of it all, Zira. Flew, not just walking, not just standing, rising. After the battle, Zira stood on a stage in front of world leaders. Cameras rolled. Children watched. Even her enemies far beyond the stars listened. She said one sentence, "You thought humanity was weak, but a human taught me to walk." And that's the first step toward saving the galaxy. Jake returned. To his cabin, Zira visited often when she wasn't traveling between worlds. They never said much. But when they did, it mattered, because some stories don't end in fire, they end in faith.